Hi everybody, welcome back. We've got a new location today. We're sitting in my garden because I actually have some, not report card comments, like Parents' Day comments that will eventually form part of my report cards. And I really needed to just be out of the house, but I have too much work to do and couldn't leave. So I was like, okay, we'll do the garden. It's in slightly rough shape because I spend very little time out here, but we're just about to hit the point in the year when the humidity starts again. So once that happens, there's no way I'm going to be out here, and I thought I'd take advantage while I could. So this is just a little bit of a mid-month update for me, but it's going to be a tiny bit different this time around, and different in the fact that I haven't actually done very much of these, so there isn't a standard. But instead of going through my whole budget, I'm just going to talk to you about a little bit of a spanner in the works that came up. Now, the budget itself is fine. I'm within where I should be on the categories, so nothing's changed there really. I did end up splitting the extra money I had. This is a little bit annoying, but for reasons you'll see in a second, but I split the money I had between my travel and my national insurance payment, and so that's what happened with the YouTube money that came in, my secondary income. However, I realised something that I was not aware of in the last few days. So if you watch my budgets and you come to this channel regularly, you've seen that I've been making national insurance payments, and I have talked about those before and about how they fully fund the state pension, and that's the reason I keep paying them. Now, I can't remember how much detail I've gone into before, but I do mention it regularly. However, with national insurance, you have the opportunity to pay back gaps in your history to make sure that your pension is fully funded. And it makes sense for me to pay back gaps because I pay voluntary national insurance because I live abroad. And therefore, once I've done the things I need to do, if I really needed to, I could stop. So there's less chance of me overpaying into the system, which is what usually happens. So let me just explain to you how the system works in case you've missed it before. Sorry if you've heard this before. So national insurance pays for social services like the NHS, our medical and job seekers allowance and child tax benefits and all those kind of things. That's how we fund it through our national insurance. It gets docked from your employment. As somebody who works abroad, I can choose to pay it, which will keep funding my pension, which is the other thing it pays for. And it also means that if I go home and I have an emergency, I've got something paid towards the National Health Service, although there's lots of rules about that in terms of my residency status and how much I would have to pay and the cost and things like that. But the state pension is the one I'm really concerned about because someday I would like to retire back to the UK. Please excuse me if I'm not looking directly at you. I'm having trouble seeing the screen because of the sun, which I wasn't considering when I set myself up here, but we're rolling with it. So if I look down here, just because I've got the details here, basically you pay national insurance on any employment you have from the age of like 16 to the age of retirement, which currently for me is 67. I believe it's going up to 68. Now, whether you're in education or not will affect certain payments and things, but basically that's how it works. So in order to have a fully funded state pension, out of the 51 years or so you have paying into the system, you have to fully pay 35 out of those 51 years. Once you hit 35 years, if you're older, it's a different barrier. Barrier? Is that the right word? Not sure. There are different rules anyway, because they changed it from the old state pension to the new state pension. But for me, 35 years is the target. Now, because I worked abroad for many years when I wasn't really thinking about my finances, I have years from early in my career where I just didn't pay national insurance. I didn't think to do it voluntarily. So that means out of my required 35 years, I have fully funded 12 of those years, and I need a further 23 years. Now, usually our government says, okay, you can pay up to the last 6 years back if you have gaps. But for quite a while now, they've had this thing where you can pay earlier years. And that's what I was doing because most of my gaps were between I've got it here actually, 2007 and up to 2016. Now, some of those were partially funded and some of them were fully funded. It just depended what I was doing that year. but a lot of them were not funded. So I had a list of how much I owed per year for that, and that's what I've been paying off. That's what the national insurance payment on my budget is for. It goes towards paying these years up. Now, as I say, usually they only let you do the previous 6 years, but obviously the years I'm mentioning there, they're too long. And they've had an initiative, I don't know how long it's been running, to be completely honest, because I didn't discover it until later, where they've been allowing certain people to pay up to the last 15 years of gaps. And that's been running for a while. Like I said, it was definitely running last tax year. And I thought, and this is where the spanner in the works comes in, I thought it would be running next tax year. And I looked at some information yesterday when I was searching for the number to call for the office. And I realized when I went into the forum to try and find it because I was having trouble, that actually I think it might be ending this tax year, and I wasn't aware of that. And once it goes back to, okay, the last 6 years instead of the last 15, I'm going to miss the opportunity to pay a lot of those years that I'm missing. So currently I've paid off my 2007 to 2008, I've paid off my 2008 to 2009, and I've got about 100 left of the payment for the 2009-2010 tax year. But I think what I'm going to have to do, when I spoke to them, they grouped all my payments under one number so I could keep paying it online. And I think what I'm going to have to do in my next budget is change things up and just put as much money towards it as I possibly can, because essentially next month is the last opportunity I have to do it, because the tax year ends beginning of April and I don't get paid again until mid-April. So I took a look at how much I owed in each year, because one thing I'm not sure about, and I tried calling them, but I was on hold for an hour and I just gave up. I'm not sure if I partially fund a year, how much does it count towards my pension? Do I have to fully fund the year? I feel like I would have to fully fund the year, but I simply don't know. So I'm assuming I do, and I was looking at where I could pull money from in order to pay as many years as possible, because it seems to be quite binary. Either the payments are done or they're not. And if they're done, they count towards your 35 years, and if they're not, they don't. And I don't want to waste money partially funding a year and then find that it didn't matter. I may as well not have. So I will put a list up here somewhere of the years that I owe and the amount I owe on them, because it's different. If I have partial payments in that year, then the amount I owe on that year is going to be a lot smaller. So for example, right now, $824.20 is the amount that you need to fully fund an empty year. But for my 2010 tax year, I only owe 300 and something. So I added together as many of the years, because it goes off in order from oldest to youngest. I added together as many of the years as I thought I could manage, and I came up with the number 1,782. And that is how much I'm going to need to cover the 100 I have left in the 2009 year, and then 3 more years. And unfortunately that means the 2014-15, 15-16 and 16-17 tax year, I'm probably going to lose the ability to pay. The 16-17 is a maybe, because I don't know, like it's 6 prior years. So I'm not sure. I might be able to get the 16-17 after the tax deadline. It might still count, but I'm definitely going to lose 2 full years for 2014-2015. Which kind of sucks, but at least I'm realizing that now, because managing to pay off 4 more years is way better than just not realizing and losing the opportunity. But that means that my budget is going to look very different next month. I'm debating, so there's 2 ways to look at this. I have money in my sinking funds and I have money in my emergency funds. So theoretically I could pull from those and I could fully pay off these years. But I'm hesitant to do that for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to leave me very vulnerable in the here and now. And I'm not sure, given that I think I can pay off like 4 of these years without causing myself too much of a burden, like it will be hard for a month, but it won't have any longer terming effects than that, then it doesn't feel right to say, okay, if I empty everything and start again. I feel like that would do more damage than just losing the 2 years, because right now I have 29 years left in my working ages in order to contribute to the pension, and I only need 23 more. So theoretically, I have the time to just not pay any of these off and keep going. But the reason I'm hesitant to do that, as I said, I have the choice of stopping when I want to, so there's no need to put it off. And what if I don't work up to retirement age? What if something happens with my health? What if I can't find a job when I'm older? What if it doesn't pay as much and I don't have the free income to be able to put towards this? What if I'm sick and I just can't work at all? So there's lots of ifs and maybes with going towards the end of my working life, and there's less of them now. Like, I know I can afford to do it now, it just takes a bit more planning that apparently I put into it. So rather than empty my sinking fund and empty my other funds and then leave me without anything should I need it, I think I'm going to make the choice to not put new money into those funds next month and just scrape together as much, take all my YouTube money that I earn next month and just try and make as big a payment as possible to complete the years. Now, given that the next year, one of the years that I'm going to miss is a full year, it's 824, I think I'm just going to stop at that because I don't think I could scrape together nearly £900. Like, I just don't have the income to do it. So I might be able to get to like another 100 or so, but as I say, I don't think there's any point in putting a partial year in. So I'll probably just stop there. I hope this makes sense in post because I'll put the numbers up so you can see them. But that's what I'm thinking of doing right now. I was debating, I've got about £4,000 left to pay towards this. And I was debating just taking the 2,000 out of my emergency and maybe pulling some from sinking funds. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, I don't necessarily think it's worth it. I think I'd maybe be setting myself up for a problem later if I did. But I feel bad losing the opportunity of the years, to be honest, and I'm going back and forth with it a little bit. I think I've decided, like, now I'm quite confident, like, oh yeah, no, it wouldn't be worth it, and then I'm like, but... So, yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm a little bit sad that I'm losing the opportunity because I thought I'd have it for another year, and obviously I don't. But one of the good things that it does do is if this next paycheck is the last time I can pay towards it effectively and, and it do me any good, then that means the money that I was paying towards it, because I was paying 250 to 500 a month, depending, that money can just go somewhere else. Because if it's cut off and I can't do it anymore, that automatically frees it up in my budget, which is kind of exciting because it means it can go other places. So yes, there are disadvantages, but also at least it's something I can get off my mind because I have really been wanting to pay this off for quite a while. So yeah, that's where I am. Please let me know what you think. I hope your month's been going well so far. Everything else has been pretty much fine. I'm within my limits on my categories. Everything's going all right. In terms of non-money, I've got a lot of work to do. We've got a Parents' Day coming up pretty soon, and I've just got to write comments for everyone. And I want to check like the old parent comments I have to make sure that they connect with what I was saying then. Because, between all my classes, I've got about 50 students I've got to write for, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're sitting there with your kids thinking, no, they are a precious and special little snowflake. They absolutely are, but I can't remember 50 of them. So I need notes, which is going to take quite a lot of work over the next week to be prepared for. So I've got some of their books. I've got to go through their English, math and science books and make sure I know where they are with all of it so I can put a comment in for each. And it's going to be a long week. So may yours be less busy, and I hope you've had a lovely day. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.